Most of the country may be digging out of snow, but we're cutting brush. This is the Milwaukee QUIK LOK brush cutter attachment. Has a 9-inch metal 4-prong blade, and it couples with the QUIK LOK Power Head. M18 FUEL Power Head, so we know we get the brushless motor. And you can buy this alone, or you can buy it in a kit with several other items as well. So there's variations on how you want to purchase this. Basically, the M18 QUIK LOK system, if you haven't seen that, then we have a review here. In fact, that's been around a couple of years now. And this power head's been around here a few years and gone through a ton of use and maybe even abuse, as some would consider. But anyway, still powering very, very strong. Now let's get into it. We'll see how we put this together really quick, and then we'll talk about some of the features on this. We'll take it out back and actually cut through some real stuff, and then come back and talk about what we think of it, pricing, and warranty. So this is how you would get the Milwaukee M18 FUEL brush cutter head out of the box. Figured we would kind of walk you through putting this all together. Probably just time warp through this, but again, we would show this going on. And by the way, in your manual on first couple of pages, it has the assembly instructions and what way all these washers and nuts and things like that are going to go on here. Even the hip barrier installation on your existing M18 FUEL QUIK LOK Power Head as well. We love bags within bags. Putting this together is very self-explanatory. Just remember tightening this nut. This is going to be left-hand threaded, so you're turning to the left to actually tighten it. And to lock out that spindle head, you do have to use this little tool right here. You can probably use a little Allen wrench as well, or a small screwdriver, and it will lock into place and lock that head where you can tighten that nut. Without that, or without a little screwdriver in there, a little Allen wrench, what have you, you're not going to be able to lock that out, and it's just going to keep spinning. And in order to run the brush cutter a little safer, or safely, if you will, but really safety is in the hands of the user all the time. Anyway, we're going to install the hip barrier here, and basically this is going to be installed on the left side of the unit. So this is assuming you're always going to hold this on the right side, and this is going to help prevent you from any kickback, something like that. So this will be installed right here, so you can still use this as a string trimmer, edger, anything else. Even your pole saw attachment, doesn't matter. This is not going to hinder you. We're going to install this on here for better safety when brush cutting. And we're going to install the lanyard hoop right here as well. We'll stop with that. This one is going to go up here towards the handle. Just squeeze it on there, and you squeeze it. And then this will go here between. This is a T30. And now you have a lanyard ring to clip on your lanyard. And then on your handle, looks like those are going to be T20. Nope, those are T30 as well. So you want to retain the nuts that are inside here. Retain the nuts that are inside your handle. And that's just going to sit right on top of this one. And it doesn't really pop into place, but you can kind of feel it nest into place. And you're going to use those longer screws that are provided, longer torch screws. So we need to get those existing nuts out of the handle. Now we'll put those nuts and embed them right there in that handle. Don't forget to put your small metal band that goes inside this one. And get them loosened up and put it where you want it. And then tighten them down. So as for the blade here, it looks like do we get a full 9 inches Yeah, exactly 9 inches across. So we get a 9-inch cutting swath, not quite as wide as your typical, 15, 16-inch string trimmer, but still we're getting a decent cutting swath and should have a lot more torque. And we have that cutting edge of an actual metal blade here that should be able to cut through, your 1-inch and smaller stuff. Now, obviously, the speed is controlled by the actual power head. So on low, on the Quick Lok power head, we have a low and a high, or the turtle and the hare scenario, turtle and hare speeds. And in turtle speed or in low, you're going to get up to 4,800 RPM, and on high, you're going to get up to 6,200 RPM. So obviously it's running on their brushless motor with the M18 battery. And I like to run this with at least an 8 amp hour battery. That gives performance as well as some decent runtime as well. Now, clipping into this is easy, or actually installing this on the power head. We'll do this again outside, but it's as easy as just kind of lining this up, and it clicks into place, and you can feel it because you hear it click, and then it clicks in, and then you just tighten the thumb screw, and that cinches everything down and makes it nice and tight. And then to remove it, same thing. You're going to loosen the thumb screw, push down on the button, slide this out, and now you can put on whatever other attachment that you want to. And make sure you didn't do like I did, and you see the rotation here of the unit. It's pointing this way, so it rotates this way. So our leading blade edge on the back side is not going to, or the blade edge on the back side, not the leading edge, that's not going to help us too much. So make sure you install it in the right rotational way. And remember, so now we've got righty loosey, because it is reverse threads. And I just noticed this blade is ambidextrous. It is actually made to go on both ways. So once it kind of wears out on one side, you can flip it over, because there's actually a cutting edge on each side of the blade. So here's one here, and here's one here as well. So shame on me for just wasting time to flip that over. So you can't put this on wrong. And again, after one side wears out, you can flip it over and use the other side. All right, so we're going to go ahead and attach. You hear it click. Tighten down our thumb screw. We'll also attach our lanyard. And we can adjust that to where we like it. And I like it about right there. And by the way, you can see this hip guard going into play here and hitting on my legs. So it's not going to come back and get into my feet, because it's first going to hit my legs, regardless if I've got it on the right side of my body or kind of center and out in front of me. That's typically how I'm going to brush cut, is kind of at a staggered stance and out in front of me, versus straight out front and the unit on the actual right side of me. Now I'm going to start in low and see how it goes from there, and then we'll go up to high. Okay, now I'm going to switch to high, see if that makes a difference. So after a few minutes of run time, not really any damage done to the blade here. So looks like definitely some wearing, but not bad at all. High speed definitely made a difference in making that cut. So through this kind of, I would call it medium debris, it did really good, but you know, you're always going to encounter obstacles like that 5-gallon bucket, like a lot of those palm fronds or palm limbs that are going to be hidden in the brush that you're trying to cut. So you may go through and try to clean some of that stuff out, but you're always going to come in contact with things like this. And as you can see, we did some pretty good damage to the bucket, and it stopped the unit initially, but just let go of the trigger, pull it again, and it would go again. Just like hitting some of those huge clumps of grass, it would stop the unit, it would go into some sort of protection, but just let off the trigger and instantly it was back to life. You just never know what you're going to encounter when you're brush cutting. Sorry, Milwaukee, we thought we might come across an old Milwaukee bottle, but it's just an old Miller High Life bottle, been around a few years. And then obviously looks like some nice steel, probably from a fence it looks like. 5-gallon bucket, all this hidden under deep grass, and that's what you're going to encounter when you're brush cutting. Now, here's the kicker on this. Is this a good brush cutter? Yes, it's a good brush cutter. Is it for you if you're in the brush cutting business, you're in the big land management business, and you're constantly just whacking down huge weeds? Probably not. If you're in the land management business and you're taking care of, you know, real estate properties and you're knocking down grass that's been growing a few months and cleaning up around buildings, things like that, is it a great system? Absolutely. This is a perfect brush cutter for those scenarios when things are a little overgrown. It's not for taking back jungles. Here's the reason I say that. This thing is very light, which is great because it doesn't wear you out. I barely even needed to wear the harness. I did wear it just because, I don't know, I figured that Milwaukee wouldn't like it if I didn't wear it. But otherwise, it's light enough, really, you can carry this thing. Now, after long periods of use, you'd probably want to have the harness on there anyway. But I use a big gas-powered brush cutter when I'm actually taking care of a jungle that we have out back, a couple of acres worth, and it's really heavy. And so it's really heavy and kind of wears you out, and you have to wear a full harness with it, but it's also like a 50cc unit, gas-powered unit. But you can use that weight to your advantage. If you saw me, I was using this brush cutter and I was kind of swinging the head back and forth, and it's a very light unit, so it doesn't kind of plow itself through the weeds. It has the power to cut everything an inch and smaller. It had no problem cutting. Now, when I hit these big steel pieces and the big, you know, palm frond branches where they connect to the tree, yeah, it would stop the unit and kind of go into an override or whatever. But as soon as I let off the trigger and pulled it again, it would start back up. So it wasn't like it didn't have the power to do anything. It just doesn't have a lot of weight to kind of swing itself. But again, I don't believe Milwaukee made it for that. So back to business. If you're in lawn care and you're taking back lawns that have been overgrown a little bit, this is a perfect unit for that. And that frees up your power head. It can be also your edger and your pole saw and your hedge trimmer, your articulating hedge trimmer. All those things, you can couple it and work with that. So having this as a brush cutter that you're going to use from time to time, perfect scenario with that. 9-inch head's not huge, but at the same time, it's going to take care of business, you know, as it needs to. Pricing on this is $149 for the attachment. That's pretty cheap. So $149, 3-year warranty on this. If you don't already have the power head, you can get the power head unit with the 8.0 battery and a charger and the string trimmer head for $299, and that's going to carry a 3-year warranty on the tool and a 3-year warranty on the battery. So that's not a bad deal either. So what, $450 you're in for getting the string trimmer, the power head, and the brush cutter. We'll have links in the description to each of these things. Also, let us know what you think in the comments, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. Hey, if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, then give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.